It's Thursday, and of course that means it's time to enter the Mind of Madness. And that, what do we do on Into the Mind of Madness? We talk Heroclix. Usually come as in preparation for some kind of major event. This time around being Memphis Worlds, and we also do a little bit of housekeeping for the channel. That's usually the first boring part. So that said, first things first. Let's get that. We are super close to 3,000 subscribers. So if you guys haven't subscribed already, go. I suggest if you want to get those notifications, hit that subscribe and hit that little notification bell that's right beside it. It saves you a little trouble of having to keep an eye on social media. Just you get that notification and bing, you're ready to go. Give me a second. I'm getting a little bit of a delay here. Let's see if that works better. Still a bit of a delay. Are you guys losing the synchronization? Because I'm seeing it, but I don't know if audio is going out differently than video. This is already a nightmare. Let's try turning it off and on again. Did that work? That seems to be working. Okay, cool. We're back in sync. It was a weird, I was seeing my lips move from what I just said, a split second, and it's going to bother me because I'm that kind of psychopath. All right. Carrying on with the upkeep. For those who are interested and still want to play, I will be updating Everyman probably by the time this episode ends, or after this episode. I forgot to update with the Star Trek stuff and the Regenesis stuff, given their current legality, or their upcoming legality in the case of Regenesis. I think Regenesis is legal now. I'm not sure. I can't keep up. And Ricky who is in the chat there. How you doing, Ricky? Provided us with an event. There was 4 teams. I'll very quickly go over the 4 teams. He provided us with a blow-by-blow. But it's a little, unfortunately, I was lax in getting everything set up and properly prepared for this. So as a bad host and a bad format runner, I failed in my duty. So what I think I'll do, we'll just do, thank you, Google, for being awesome. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, Everyman format is a format I kind of set up and created, which was just an all-white tab common only format, which was basically Fast Force starter set and common figures. It was kind of created around the same time that the much more popular Popper format showed up, and here's what it is. All right, so let's go over the teams that Ricky shared in the Everyman format turn. I believe it will be this one. Nope, it's this one. And we don't need that. We need this. Hey, there I am. Okay, so first we have a Poison Ivy, the one that creates biting fangs. This is from the Fast Forces, along with the Fast Forces Catwoman and the Fast Force Harley Quinn, and a 30-point Batman animated series Joker, and Perplex the team. Big Tony just sits in your guys, perplexes, gets big stats, and goes. I like it. It's cool. It's I see what he's trying to do. It's there's no secrets here. All right. Oh, and I'm a failure as a host once again. So let's try this again. Was that first place? That was first place. Awesome. I screwed up. All right. In 4th place, 2 Hulks, Yellow Jacket, Crystal, Red Squad, AIM. This is the 125-point Black Panther Hulk, along with the Fast Force 50-point Hulk, the one that moves and quakes. Yellow Jacket is an awesome both outwit and perplex, either or on a turn, but whenever you need it, you need it. Crystal is Hulk Light, and AIM Red Squad adds Empower or enhancement. In this case, probably Empower. This one, same idea. Triple Crystal. Boy, this is like the all common version of the Medusa rush. Voyager enables you to use Crystal to mass attack with Quake. I like this. This is kind of cool. Aim Red squads help out, and a couple Fast Force Giant Girls to carry them. Prez Rickard. I'm so glad he exists in this format. And Iron Avengers assemble for the map bonus. He wins map most of the time, so odds are Prez is the one who's going, hey, let's me make the token. Is Prez able to? I might be wrong. I have to look a little deeper, but I mean, this team is an Avengers themed team, so because Crystal, I believe, is an Avenger, and you win map and you get to make more tokens in addition. This is pretty cool. I like this. Wash, rinse, repeat. But this time, instead of going more with Giant Girl and more toolboxy, we just went straight in with 3 crystals, a Voyager to carry them, and a Voyager to carry 2 Aim Red squads, and a Giant Girl to kind of wrap it all up. And then, of course, the winner was a bunch of Perplex, Poison Ivy, making some dudes, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn. This is this is whip a Fast Force out, grab my stack of extra big Tonys, and the Joker, and we're good to go. And this is played on the Conservatory. So, cool little teams. I'm screwing everything up by using my mouse. I'm supposed to be using keyboard shortcuts from now on. I'm not doing that. So thanks, Ricky, for sharing that. Very cool teams. I like when people get a little bit more creative with things, and the Popper and Everyman formats kind of allow for some level of creativity. Though I feel like Voyager's existence kind of roughs up the format a little, but there'll always be a common character who can carry multiple dudes. I think the only sketchy part about Voyager is that she's an Avengers themed teamer, and for the Popper and all common format, unless you're using a map, and I don't know if the Popper format allows it. I'm not super versed in it. I should be more versed because it is cool, and I might enjoy some of the tournaments here and there. She's usually going to be on her natural click 1, not click 0. But that's fine because that's Perplex. So, that aside, we have to talk Memphis and where the brain in the madness is going. And it's a couple things we've been doing lately getting in ready is Tom has wonderfully started randomly generating packs for us, and we've been getting some practice kind of building some makeshift X-Men animated series teams. This is not an easy set to sealed. It is and it isn't, rather. See, every pool is going to have 6 2x2 figures. And a lot of those figures skew high on the point value. But unlike Avengers Infinity, they don't skew high on the protected outwit. So you kind of go into this and hope that you pull one of the very few characters that have outwit in order to maybe gain that extra. I think, and Thomas said it on the Metal Lab this last week, outwit is one of the most potent powers that you can get your hands on in the sealed for the X-Men animated series format from what we've seen so far. There's still like a little pitter patter of figures that we have yet to get our hands on or see, and we'll kind of get a look at that later on, or we'll get a look at those eventually. But for the most part, be aware that this, like I said, this set skews high with the Colossals, and skews low on the amount of outwit, but skews also low on the amount of outwit protection. Just some things to think about going into that format. Next, I had to think about my own team. Practice makes your team better, and my team is getting worse and worse by the day. A couple things I've had to come to grips with is I may have to, if my intent is to do well, I have to kind of make peace with the fact that I may have to adapt closer to the meta. I'm still not giving up, and I still think there's some ideas to be explored and experimented with, but I think in my current brain state, I have to fold and join. If you can't beat them, join them. Sort of is the situation I'm in right now. I'm just gonna. Our house is a mess. We have kids. So I have to either come to fruition or come to some kind of epiphany in the twilight hour of what I might end up having to do. Now, the current state of my team is a conversation I had with Tom. I haven't actually talked with him about whether or not we're going to, if he wants me to share the team, if he's going to be playing it himself or not. There's a lot of discussion to be had on that. We had, as we said on Monday, we had some practice, and we've had some really good practice because one of the guys we practiced with is Devin, who thoroughly stomped on all of us, but he's the Canadian national champion. Of course he did. And he is staying on top of his game, which is great. He's really good at this game and can only improve or continue to improve or just do well. And that has helped and hurt a little. Like, mentally you get into this like, oh man, I got my butt kicked so much. Oh, well, one of them was Devin, and he's a champion. And he was using a team with modifications to his classic team. It's good. I like it. My own. I had a hard time coming up with a team that is just give up and go. Play in this game. Play to the expectations. And where I stand right now with the team is that I don't think I'm ready to use it. I don't think I'm ready to say for sure this is the team that I'm going with. And part of it is there. Let's talk about some of the things that we've had to deal with in the current game. The flow of the game in the current state of the game is very early game. Nobody who's on the board is doing a lot of attacking. In fact, most of the damage being done is from ID card characters. And that's like every game's first couple turns now kind of seems similar, which makes, a lot of people go, ah. So it's the first half of the game is surviving the onslaught, being ready for the onslaught. Then the second half comes down to what can my board do. So it's one thing to build a team. It's like, hey, look at all the cool ID cards I can print. Can I use them and whatnot and what's. But once you run out of that steam, once that steam kind of runs out, because those characters still have to roll dice, make hits, connect with attacks, arrange lines of fire and everything like that. If you are the aggressor on that and you don't have the steam to finish, you can find the game very quickly swing right off of right back on your face, and that comes down to a number of things: aggression with the ID cards and effectiveness with the ID cards, along with effectiveness of the onboard team. Because current state, if you're playing in a team that kind of functions in the current meta, you survive that onslaught very well. So then it comes down to the quality of figures on your team and how well they do and the reliance on things. A couple things I'm noticing is that smart players with the trader aren't just using trader to trade with Kobik or their own figures. They're taking your stuff and leaving you with junk. Like, for instance, if you've got an astronomer and somebody takes your trader and gives you the space gem on an astronomer, you're having a bad day because you just lost your power gem. And nobody wants to lose their power gem with astronomer, because that's a big key to how that figure functions, or how that figure is as effective as he is at 80 points. Range combat expert with 11 range is gross. But at the same time, that first onslaught, as we were saying with the ID cards, is protected to a certain way with Colossal Retaliators. So you've got a two-pronged situation you've got to deal with. One, you've got to deal with the Colossal Retaliators. Two, you got to deal with the onslaught of ID cards. Now, granted, in the current state, if you win map roll, you get a massive advantage against your opponent. If you are, or whoever gets the first attack gets the advantage. And the key to this is, of course, using ID cards to kill the Colossal Retaliators or kill the unfortunate, the guys that are going to prevent you from making the attacks. And this is the flow right now. So you see the big dude is on the other side, try to kill that. Once you're through that, then you can play Heroclix. And some people see this as kind of a negative, and I can understand it's a feel bad moment because you're forced in the first couple turns to deviate off strategy, and hating that is okay, but that's not the game being broken. That is you having to rethink how you play the game. As a player in general, we also have to be aware of play, counterplay, and preparation. There aren't a lot of swarm teams that are super effective. I think the most effective one has been the Medusa Swarm, which actually got second place in the UK Nationals. So that's kind of a great thing. I had to make some gross noses, sorry. And that one was actually with 0 sideline elements, 0 map bonus, or 0 map. I can't remember what the thing's called. The 5 point for the map, or any items. So for one, this prevalent cosmic meta loses click 0. So you actually start on click 1, which is in a lot of players' plannings not their expectation. And that is something I think a lot of players, if you're playing the Cosmic Teams in your practice, take a couple games and play without click 0. And not against teams that obviously don't, but like take a Medusa, put together a Medusa team. Don't put any special items on it, don't put any ID cards on it, and don't put any map bonuses on it. And then play against that and see how you feel, get your game feel on for that. Because it can make a huge difference in some cases. I say it makes a pretty big difference because you lose a whole click of life, which takes a lot of those guys from 6 clicks to 5 clicks. A lot of them lose a top dial power. A lot of them lose some defensiveness. The Collector loses Impervious. Astronomer loses Invulnerable. They both go down a level, so Collector starts, instead of Impervious, he goes to Invulnerable. Astronomer goes from Invulnerable to Toughness. Traitor just, is super squishy. 1 damage and he loses that thing. So, what I'm saying, I'm not saying you should play a team without ID cards or without all the extra elements. But if you can find a team that functions well and you're coming to the end and you want to put those elements down, take a second, consider whether or not you want to use that element. If you're including that element for a small chance play, I guarantee you losing, in a lot of cases when people are using 2 to 4 of these guys, we're talking about a complete drop of overall 3 to 4 clicks of life that you have to deal now, less that you have to deal. And I think there's a lot of value in that. Now, to add a couple things, there's been a lot of noise about the Gambit from Regenesis. And keep an eye on that figure. He seems pretty cool, and there was a tournament that was played. He was in it. He shouldn't have been. That's neither here nor there. Not my concern. But he did do well in an environment that wasn't prepared for him. But now we kind of know he's got an effectiveness. It is time to start considering him as an effect, just because. Not just because, but there are a number of reasons why. One of which is that he's a monster, and we know the monster keyword is up there. It's still in a challengeable place with the cosmic keyword. In addition to which, you gotta understand this Gambit is traded to just deal penetrating damage, and he's got a reach of a 3-square reaching poison, and then he's also got incapacitate, where he can, if he uses his close, he double tokens somebody. And I mean, you wrap all of this into the package that he is. and you get a very scary outlook on it. You can include this guy with like Captain Venom to get your team some theme props, and you got a scary dude on the map. Like no question about it. He is pretty awesome. I myself am starting to look at him, though I don't know. Let's countdown time now. I leave in exactly 2 weeks today. Like, I am on a plane. I'm probably in Memphis at this time in 2 weeks. So, getting my hands on a Captain Venom that is... Because another thing is I don't want to borrow across borders. I also want to decide if I can come up with a team at this mid-twilight hour that I'm comfortable playing with that captain, with that Gambit, mon ami. So, if anybody is ready to kind of, I can save you, Jason, just don't jump to my rescue just yet. I still need to come up with my idea. What else? So anyway, I think these things are all considerations to start looking at and being aware of. So I am not saying you have to, but I am saying if you can, consider that. Consider the no sideline things. Specifically with the Medusa team. Let's call a spade a spade. I even think the Korvath team, the Korath Hulk, change size, charge forward, win the game with infinite attacks team is really, really good at using that. Because for those of you unfamiliar, there's a Korath from the Captain Marvel set. When an adjacent or character or somebody who shares a keyword with him hits with an attack, they can move one square. So the idea is you have a way, specifically the Wasp, Heart of the Avengers, make him a Colossal. He carries Korvath forward. He makes the attack, and plus you also got to consider I think this one has the Avengers. This is the Fast Force Hulk. I believe it has the Avengers keyword. And then because he's carrying Korvath, he'll be adjacent to Korvath at the end of your move. He makes his free action Quake at 3 squares away with Colossal Reach, and you target one dude. Then you move 1 square, and keeping that one dude as the target. He's got such a huge attack, you put a bunch of Perplex on your team, aside from all of this, and then you just infinitely attack as long as you can keep hitting. And it'll make you miss the damage depletion modifier very quickly. And I think you can put that team together without the need for a lot of sideline elements in that matter. So, another thing to consider. It's a weird kind of metagame right now because it is more open than it seems, but because there's one specific element that's dominant, it feels stale, and it's just because the Cosmic Theme team, what it is super tricksy, has a lot of cool elements and flexible things, but with all of these toys, excuse me, with all these extra toys and whatnot, you can really kind of dominate as it is and seem stale. I'm babbling. Okay, let's come back to this. Collector, tricks. Trader, tricks. Gardener, super active, lots of attacks, and super underpointed. Like he's 50 points if you include the gem, or whatever element you pay for him with. One good example I've seen is the Nightbringer ring. Right? Like, okay, so I'm gonna make some new free smoke in the middle of my turn. Like, the team can take it takes like 6 or 7 actions before it's started to take an action. It's like, hold on a second. So you've sidestepped, carried, then sidestepped again. Now you've smoke clouded. Now you're gonna make a free attack. Hold on. And then when you're done with all of that, if you have an ice ring and you got a trader, you're double barriering in a turn. Zero ring, sorry, ice ring, 0 ring, 0 being the temperature that ice grows at. So, so you can see Cosmic's got all the tricks. So then Monster's got a lot of beef, and it operates on overwhelming force and odds and whatnot. So you take move, like for instance the whales move and attack, move and attack, move and attack, and just keep going. And they have colossal stamina. You can keep going if you want. It's absolute insanity, as it were. Or you get the Medusas with the Avengers theme team with is back, but it's a different kind of form with the Medusa version. You have the Vulture team, which has got overwhelming attacks. These are all the things you kind of have to plan for and be ready for, but you cannot, under any circumstances, be ready for all. And when you get to wide open metas, they get a little dangerous for what team you want to bring. And that's fine. All of that is cool. The more wide open the meta, I think the better it is for all of us in our decision making, because what we have to do as players is we have to sit back with ourselves and go, what do I want to do, or what do I want my team to do? And then we have to decide from there. So do you look at how you want it to do, and then you brace yourself for the eventuality that something is going to have an answer for you. And almost no team has 100% of the answers for everything, but there will be a few teams that function well against a lot of problems or have a lot of answers that could or could not go wrong. Specifically, when you look at things like Shape Change and Super Senses, or Super Senses Impervious, or all of this combined with like Invincible and Mastermind. I mean, all of these things are great, and all of these things work. Some of these things fail to critical hits, and that is a minor possibility that you can't plan for, and that will be like a bad game. But some of these teams, for the most part, will be able to function against the most of these things. And you, as a player, have to kind of go into worlds and say, how can I best how can I best create a team with the highest functionality for me that I can understand, that also says, what am I going to do against all of these things? You do have to come up with a battle plan. You can't just go, okay, well, I have a 0% loss rate with this. That's just, you can't just accept that. You have to go, how can I play this out to the best of what's going on? Alejandro, the chat, eBay is your best bet to find a Ghost Rider Mammoth. And hold off until after Worlds, because then they'll be everywhere. Anyway, going back to where we were, make your plans based on what we expect to see. Play out the games that you think are your worst matchups. Play out the games that you think are your best matchups, so you can find out flaws or holes that they can poke in you. You got to understand how they can play against you, because if you can't beat your team, you might be missing something that they aren't missing. If you understand where I'm going, if they know what it takes to beat your team, and you've missed that element because you haven't practiced against the team that you're sure you beat, you've done yourself a disservice. But besides going into things that are full-blown teams, I think I've kind of covered a lot of the topics I want to cover before we start talking about how am I playing and what my plans are, or ideas that I can come up with that may or may not be my team. And that's going to be where we go for the next episode, which will be next week. I'm going to try to squeeze in one or two more extra episodes of Into the Mind of Madness before I make my trip, just because this helps me as much as some of you will find it's helpful to you. I may babble a lot on this, but this babbling kind of focuses my thought process. Also exposes me to my own caffeine addiction as I talk ramblingly. I think we'll start kind of focusing on teams. I will build a team. I think the next couple exercises will be, I'll build a team and I'll say, okay, it dies to this, dies to this, dies to this, dies to this. Here are the problems you're going to run into with this team, and then try to see if I can come up with ways to solve the teams, just so we kind of understand that thought process as best we can. I just got to come up with the ideas with which to do that. Little ill-prepared this week, to be brutally honest. I knew we had to get the show out, and kind of had to share where I was lately. But to kind of go to some of the conversation we had on the Metal Lab this week, and I think I can expand on that. We've had, like I said, a couple practice rounds of working with X-Men animated mock drafts or mock pulls, and we've come to a couple of realizations. One of which is theme teams are super easy to make on this one. There are so many X-Men and so many different keywords that you can actually kind of put together. It can go a lot of ways. Also, there's a lot of like archetype teams that, when I say archetype, like constructed archetypes that kind of exist in the sealed in this set as well. And a lot of it skews on a lower rarity. In addition to which, Colossals are super key to a lot of the longevity you can get. Like, you can get some pretty deep dials, 175 to 200 points, depending on the figure. Brace yourself to kind of be ready for that. There's a lot of figures that make you pause and go, is that a one-man army, and should I do that? Red Skull, Onslaught, and Dark Phoenix do come to mind. Like, a 300-point Dark Phoenix looks strong, but you almost don't want to hit with her the first couple turns, or, you know, when you're on that first click, because if you heal past her 300-point starting line, she feels much worse, because she loses her hypersonic and her high attack, drops an attack, just gain shape change, and if you can get an extra click past it, you can get past into some shape change and have a stop click to slow down the death toll, as it were. But you play her at like bare minimum 30 or full blown 300. There's no in between with her. Modifiers seem skewing away. Like, I don't see a lot of but there's a lot more healing in this set, especially once you consider that Brotherhood Mutant Messiah trait, where, like, if you got a guy with, say, leadership on your team and you're rolling some hot leaderships, there's some guys you don't want healing. Looking at you, Blob. Because, like, the Blob it takes one click of damage at a time. And if you can get a guy with leadership next to him just popping tokens off, you're laughing your way to the bank. Because, so as long as you're not clearing the action tokens, you're removing them from, like, with, like, leadership or some other effect. Blob's laughing, and, like, those first two clicks on Blob can hit hard. He's got, like, 10 attack with 3 damage with close combat expert. Holy moly. We don't have a full set, so I'm just kind of in brief noting observations we've made in these mock pulls and whatnot. So, what else we got? Takes a maximum of 1. He's super easy to move. I want Toad to be so much more exciting, and I just can never... Like, I've seen him in some of our mock drafts and just kind of poo-pooed him. There might be some situations where he kind of rounds out a Brotherhood of Mutants theme team and adds to your theme prop count and becomes the guy using it. Awesome. Those unique dudes really, really shine in Sealed. Those guys, like, anybody... Don't Die Tech is specifically what I was talking about when I said there's a lot of guys that just kind of work, and it's frightening. It's frightening how well they just outright work. There's also some guys that skew on the 2x2s that feel bad moments. Like, don't get me wrong, I am the biggest multiple man fan I know. I love me some Jamie Madrox. I loved his character when he was obnoxious, playful dude in the early X-Force. He was, you know, a neat little villain. It's like, oh my god, he makes so many dudes. And I loved the X-Men, or the X-Factor Investigations Peter David run. Loved that character. So when I say, God, does he suck to pull? I mean it. Like, it hurts to say that. And he's not very fantastic. At 100 points, I think he's only got like 4 clicks or something like that. It's, and then the way the dupes work and how he, like, takes damage to... There's no feel good about that. There's nothing feel good. But the Sentinels and Nimrod, they all kind of work. Magneto, like, there's a lot of Colossals that skew really good. There's just too many of them that skew not good. So again, watch for Outwit. And yeah, try to get Outwit. Watch your Colossals. Prepare to tent pole with them. Prepare to see a lot of that, because that's just the way this seems to be skewing. And yeah, I think the Team Sealed should be an exciting time. Lots of big stuff, lots of cool stuff to be seeing on maps. It's going to look epic. It's going to feel epic. Every fight's going to be a fight. There's going to be a lot of clicks of damage needed to get through things, and a lot of patience to get through the entirety of the format. So yeah, brace yourself for that. So yeah, I'm gonna just quickly see what we got. Yeah, okay, yeah. Somebody kind of jumped in with my Discord. When I was stumbling, I was like, is it actually just called a map bonus? It is just called the 5-point map bonus. Alejandro Gryffindor there. One question: what figure do you think is too overpowered? Right now, I don't think anything's too overpowered. Astronomer's strong, but soft. And, he's got a weakness to walls, which are coming plentiful now, especially when you consider that the Zero Ring exists. What else? Kobik is manageable. She's soft, she's squishy, she's good, and in conjunction with Trader works, but on her own versus the Trader, she's cool and does a lot of really neat stuff, but I wouldn't call her overpowered. I feel she kind of works for her thing, works for what she does. Yeah, I'm not one to call anything that's currently in the game overpowered. Like, we're not at that level of Felix Faust back in the day where we weren't allowed to play the game. Nothing kind of sits on that overpowered realm. So, yeah, that's it for my madness is babbly today. I'm unfocused, and it shows. Hopefully next week, I come in with the focus that I think I'm going to come in with. I'm gonna, show a couple team ideas and discuss why the problems I have with those teams and the problems I think I'll run into. One of them might even be the team I'm planning on playing. Who knows? But in the meantime, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Heroclix. If you want to jump on our Discord, check that out. We also have our patron hangout coming up September 1st. Also want to thank our sponsors over at majesticccg.com/apex-insiders. $3 a month gets you brain dumps from players who are much better than me at the game. So check that out as well. Thank you guys for watching live. Thank you guys for watching in the archive. And get yourself ready. Memphis is coming, and you gotta come up with some madness in order to cope with this wacky and insane metagame. So thank you for stepping with me into the mind of madness.